What's the nature of your emergency?
Welcome back to the Tactical Living Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Wilton, joined by Sergeant Wilton. Clint, how are you?
I'm good.
There are 4 words. You know what? I was going to say there are 4 words that first responders hate hearing, but I'm going to change that because I think that firemen love hearing this. So there are 4 words that police officers hate hearing. Can you guess what they are?
No, I can't.
You are a hero.
Oh, yeah.
And today I wanted to talk about how for a lot of times and a lot of people, praise might feel super uncomfortable, but there's a lot of psychology behind the reasons why people might deflect compliments.
You know, what's funny is I agree. Firefighters do absolutely love to hear that. But it's one of those things. And I think over time, this has been a struggle, and I think it continues to be a struggle for most police officers in general. And you're absolutely right. Like focusing on just the police officer mindset of it is because, you know, there's a lot of animosity. There's a lot of anger towards police on a regular basis. So when you hear like a lot of times, like you hear nothing but negativity, it's hard to take that, oh, you're a hero, you do what others don't. It's hard to take that and to hold on to it because the reality is law enforcement officers, police officers, firefighters, ambulance, like everyone, EMTs, all of them, we're all heroes in different aspects. You might not be a hero and going out and saving a life today, but what you're doing is going out and you're preserving the peace to keep that held within our country.
Yeah, I hear you because I think that the media has tried their very best to condition the public to think that police officers are the bad guy. And so when something comes up and you're being praised as a police officer, there is this emotional incongruency that takes place. And praise is meant to honor your service. But for some people, it could bring on things like guilt or awkwardness, even resentment. And it could be for a lot of reasons, whether it's because of survivor's guilt, imposter syndrome. Maybe it's simply because you were conditioned to stay humble and deflect compliments. When that happens, it's actually habitual, right? It's what you have done, so it's what you continue to do, and it's what you will probably always do unless you understand the importance of knowing that by doing this, you might be robbing somebody else of meaningful connection that they need, and ultimately meaningful connection that you need.
I really look at and we've talked about this before, like say you're going to Starbucks to buy a coffee. And the person behind you is like, no, I want to buy that coffee for you. And like in some people's mind, well, it's a gratuity. I can't accept gratuity. No, that has nothing to do with any type of gratuity. That's just someone wanting to, they're enveloping saying, you know what? This person's out there. It's been a long day. I want to support them. I want to show them my appreciation by buying that coffee for you. So if you say no and you're adamant that it's not going to happen, you're almost creating a negative dynamic amongst yourself and that individual because they're trying to do something nice. They're trying to treasure and honor you, and you just deflected it to create that divide amongst you.
I went to the eye doctor one time, and it was somebody that my dad built the office for, and this was during COVID. The female who I had met for the first time, I go into her office. She comes into her office. I see her. She comes to me. She holds out her hand to shake mine. I take my hand to go to shake hers. And with revolt almost, she just pulls her hand back. Oh, I'm not shaking hands. And I was so offended that I literally, I don't know why I didn't step out at that moment. Like, I don't know why I let her bill my insurance company after that happened. And so a lot of the times, if somebody does something like they thank you and they say, they compliment you for whatever reason, and your response is to say that I was just doing my job, what that does is it cuts off the connection and it diminishes your own contribution.
And you're creating that dynamic and telling yourself that story is that you're not worth it as well. And the more you do that, you're going to have that self-doubt. You're going to, like, being humble is one thing. And like, I'm a full believer, like, be humble, but be able to accept that positivity when it's afforded to you.
Yeah, and sometimes you might feel like you're undeserving of recognition. So let's say that you survived something when others didn't, or you maybe think that you could have done more. The impact that this has is it might create this internal conflict and even an emotional detachment.
Having that feeling of I could have done more, I should have done this instead, and we talk about it for incidents involving different law enforcement agencies, different partners, different incidents where we break it down. We are our own worst enemies and most critical and people when it comes to breaking this stuff down. Every incident will never be picture perfect and ideal, especially if there's a loss of life or there's an injury or anything like that. It's being able to analyze it, learn from it, and so hope that you never make those mistakes. But it's being humble enough to say, okay, let's look at this and from the 10,000 foot view, let's see how we can address it so it doesn't happen again. Because ultimately, say you thought it was such a negative incident, there is always positivity in anything and everything you do.
Yeah, another example is that you might avoid public acknowledgement. So an example would be that you dread award ceremonies or being singled out. This could reinforce a belief that being seen is unsafe or uncomfortable for you.
Yeah, and like I dread award ceremonies, not because I don't want to be honored or anything like that. I dread it because the monotony and the length, and I'm just like, I have other stuff I could be doing, and it's being able to like, if you want to honor me, like, here, give me my award. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And then let's move on.
Yeah. And another example of this is that you might have distrust in people who praise you. So you might question their motives or assume that it's just flattery. I'm thinking of one officer in particular that this is definitely an element for them. And when this happens, it really prevents this genuine relationship from forming.
If you think there's always an agenda someone has. I mean, there are cases where people do have agendas, but it's being aware of it and being able to accept it wholeheartedly and being able to be present during those instances.
And two, you might feel like you're emotionally numb or even triggered by gratitude. So if a thank you brings up painful memories instead of pride, this could block emotional healing and even connection that you probably need.
Yeah, and like I think of instances where I've been somewhere and someone goes, "Oh, thank you for your service," and it's one of those things. You say, I appreciate you thanking me, and I enjoy what I do and I enjoy being here for you, but then it's turning into, so how are you today? And it's engaging them in conversation. Sometimes people will use it as an icebreaker because, one, you may be the first cop they've ever talked to and they don't know you, but it's almost humanizing that badge aspect of it and just being able to be present with those individuals.
There are authentic ways to be able to respond to praise with grace. And I think one of them is to just simply practice thank you. You don't have to explain it away. Just let the compliment land and you don't need to justify or reject it.
Yeah. And it's when you say thank you, you don't want to have it as, because I've seen this where someone goes, thank you for your service. And you go, thank you, and turn and walk away real fast. Like that kind of is that nonverbal cue of like, just get away from me.
Yeah, and I think too, one of the most important things is to recognize that receiving is also a form of service. So when you receive well, you're going to validate someone else's attempt to be able to honor you.
Being able to fully hold on to, and Ashley and I have talked about this, when someone thanks you, they're saying it from a place of meaning, because you don't know their story, you don't know who they are, and it's saying, they thank you for your service, and you go, thank you, I appreciate you, and taking that time to look at them, to smile at them, to not only smile with your like mouth, but to smile with your eyes, because that means you're not only receiving that as a compliment, they're going to have that nonverbal recognition as like, you appreciated it.
Yeah, and something else is a response to that comes up for me is we really appreciate that. because you can instantly take that pressure off of you, right? That embarrassment off of you by responding with, we thank you for your service. And then you say, we really appreciate that. Thank you. And I think that it's really important to understand when you reframe praises as acknowledgement of the role and not just the person, what you do is that you're going to understand that the role that you stepped into deserves respect.
Being able to have that sense of, I don't care who you are. It feels good when someone recognizes your efforts, recognizes who you are as a person, even though you're not doing it for that. When they stand up and tell you thank you, absorb it, be there, and really be present with it.
I hope you've gotten some value out of today's episode. If you have, do us a favor, drop a review, subscribe down below, and as always, know that I'm sending you a long, tight hug from my home to yours.